Manu. We are at 18th and 8th Streets Northwest, about a block and a half from the White House. I'll have our photojournalist Joe Merkel kind of train his camera past me and down 8th Street. 8th Street now closed off. You can see there's a huge swarm of police activity. We believe the shooting just occurred just down this block. According to the Joint Task Force, which oversees the National Guard, the shooting occurred at the Farragut, near the Farragut West Metro Station, which is just down the block here. These are Secret Service police officers directing traffic, trying to get traffic clear from this area. I just heard this one officer tell people that unless you are parked down here or you're staying at one of the hotels down in that in this area of 8th Street, even foot traffic not allowed down on that street.
I just want to read a news statement we have gotten from the governor of West Virginia, Patrick Morrisey, who is saying this now. He said, "We are now receiving conflicting reports about the condition of our 2 Guard members and will provide additional updates once we receive more complete information. Our prayers are with these brave service members, their families, and the entire Guard community." And that was at 4:04 p.m. So just moments ago. Remember, that was just before he had just after he had posted that the 2 members were shot and they had died from their injuries. So John Miller, what's your? I mean, hopefully this is good news that these members are still alive and they're fighting for their life and can make it through these injuries and these gunshot wounds. What's your reaction to the governor now saying that they're conflicting reports about their condition, and they're going to wait to give additional updates until they get more complete information?
Well, it's one of the things that you see when you have politicians and elected officials who jump into these things and get into that news cycle. One of the things that you experience when you get used to showing up to these things as a commander, as an investigator, as I have many times, is that the first story is never right, and that the details don't come together all at once. It is a series of pixels that you have to develop and get a richer picture as you go. So I'm not surprised at the sudden reversal, but we can only pray that it's correct and that it stays correct, that one or more of them has survived. This is part of the fog of war, and it's why, even as I describe these things, as does Chuck Ramsey and Andy McCabe, we always start off with, this is preliminary, and it's still coming together. So that could be a glimmer of better news, but again, we're going to have to wait till we get the official word from medical people where they're being cared for, because they're the only ones who are going to really know.
Yeah, so just again, if you're just tuning in, the shooting near the White House a couple hours ago, 2 National Guardsmen shot. Initially, the governor of West Virginia said that they had died from the shooting that occurred, but now the governor is saying that there's conflicting information out there, and they'll provide additional updates once they receive more complete information. So we'll try to learn more about their condition as the shooter is also in custody and also injured as well. And John, stay with us, because joining me now is former senior FBI official and active shooter expert Catherine Schweit and former Washington, D.C. Police Chief Charles Ramsey. He's a CNN senior law enforcement analyst. And we're also joined by phone by Steve Moore. He's a CNN law enforcement contributor and a retired FBI agent. So Charles, first to you. This is the city which you, of course, ran this police department for some time. Walk us through what you expect is happening behind the scenes right now among law enforcement.
Well, behind the scenes, since this individual who committed the crime is in custody, they've no doubt already ID'd him. They're now taking steps to go through his social media footprint, probably executing search warrants at a residence, a vehicle, if he had a vehicle, in the area. They're trying to get as much information as possible to try to determine the motive. I mean, John is coming up with a lot of information from the scene right now, but there's also an awful lot of questions that are unanswered. He's absolutely right. There'd be a parallel investigation going on with DC Homicide as well as the JTTF, because these individuals were guardsmen. Hopefully the second post that we got from the governor is good news, but it also points out a problem with social media and people wanting to be the first to get information out, and information that is not always accurate. And these people have families, and they watch television, and to think that your loved one has been murdered, and if it turns out not to be true, think about the trauma that causes. So you need to have facts. And John was also right when he said the first story is usually not right. The late John Timoney said that all the time, and he was absolutely right. Until you have some real investigation taking place, and you start to find out the facts that, as you know them to be, based on some evidence or statements or whatever, that information will be made public at some point in time. But you always have people that want to jump the gun and want to put too much information out there, not really having access to all the information. I hope these individuals are still alive, fighting for their lives. I truly do hope that's the case. But right now, police are focused on the investigation and trying to get to the bottom of the why this took place.
Yeah, and Catherine, this is one of your areas of expertise. So tell us what investigators are doing now with the suspect who is in custody.
I think the idea behind, well, this guy's in custody right now is all what the chief just mentioned, the idea that despite the frustration and the anger that the whole rest of the team has in DC police and the rest of the National Guard, all the law enforcement, they have to do their jobs. So they have to dig in and collect the evidence they can and try to find out what do they know about this suspect and try to be able to answer the questions that really the public wants answered more than anything else. The people who are the family members and the friends of the guardsmen. And it's kind of reminiscent of, we just passed the 21st anniversary of the loss of Martha Dixon Martinez, Michael Miller, as the chief knows, Hank Daly from MPD, as killed right in their office right here in downtown the November 22nd, 21 years ago. And we just passed that anniversary and saw how it traumatized the city and law enforcement then. And they're going through that kind of trauma again, but they still have to do their jobs.
And, Catherine, when we do get a chance to hear publicly from the police, what are you going to be listening for? And also, when do we expect them to actually reveal the identity of the suspect, given that this person is in custody right now?
I spend a lot of time, and all I work on, it seems like, is these kind of targeted active violence that we see right now. And they'll release the information as soon as they are valid. As soon as it's valid, they're going to release it because social media, everybody is a citizen journalist now with phones, and there'll be pictures out there that eventually will be circulating. And the law enforcement's job, as we have learned, especially over the last few, maybe 15 or 20 years, is to get the best and most accurate information out there as fast as you can in order to quell rumors and the social media stuff that's out there. We want to make sure that we end the conspiracy theories that are constantly out there. So, as we advise everybody in law enforcement, and they are well aware, getting the information out. And so they are, as John said, getting the information gathered as fast as they can, as accurately as they can, to answer all the questions that we know that law enforcement is going to have. One thing I will add too is that, one of the concerns that I have is that I do work in this area. This is we have seen in the last 15 years, an increasing effort to target law enforcement specifically around the United States. So though this is happening here in Washington, D.C., where we are, we know that this is happening across the country.
Yeah, Steve Moore, you're also former FBI. I want to get your sense to respond to that. I mean, do you think this was a premeditated attack against these guardsmen?
Well, it seems circumstantially, again, I don't want to get into speculating here, but circumstantially, it seems very possible that this was a targeted attack against the National Guardsmen. And the only reason you would do that, the only statistically relevant reason you would do that is for political reasons, for basically domestic terrorism or international terrorism, whoever would be responsible. So the JTTF now, besides the murder of a federal officer or potential murder of a federal officer investigation, you also have to have a concurrent terrorism investigation. And what you need to know right now is first of all, is it over? I mean, you got to get on on his web pages, on the suspect's social media, interview friends, and find out, is this a lone wolf, or are we to expect other attacks?